Well, hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Valeri. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. I'm going to continue my series on arguments and sort of dissecting them. I kind of wanted to call it the anatomy of an argument, but it just sounds a little corny. I just figured I would just we're just going to talk about arguments and how they work. So if you want to call it the anatomy of an argument, I suppose we could do that. If you like what I'm doing, if you like what I'm saying, do all the internet things, like, subscribe, notification, follow, all the stuff out there on whatever platform you're doing. It'd be really great. If you really, really want to get in touch with me, feel free to do so via DM, or you can go to dynamicmarriagesolutions.com, and I'd be more than happy to talk to you more about this stuff. So, today, if you did the homework from yesterday, I know, it's not really homework, but if you did kind of what I talked about yesterday, which was kind of dive into your motivations behind arguments, right? Let's review, shall we? We will often go into arguments because, for various reasons, but some of them is because we think that we have the right idea, right? We have the solution, okay? So we want to purport our solution to our spouse. You say, hey, you know what? This is the right thing to do. It's a good idea. I told you this story about me trying to set up the antenna for the Super Bowl. I thought I had the right idea, the right thing. I thought I was going to set that up and wouldn't have to worry about it. It'd be awesome. And, it didn't work out so well, right? So we had to, I encourage you to dig into your motivations. TLDR, look at your motivations for arguing. Because we need to understand ourselves, especially when we're trying to communicate to our spouses, right? So, what are your motivations? What did you discover about yourself? What did you learn? Okay, maybe there's some reasons in there that you're not too crazy about. Maybe you do things because, you want to feel a certain way or you want to think a certain way. Maybe you're not too crazy about what the information was. All right, so we want to make sure that we have a better understanding about what all that is. Okay, so once we understand our motivations, I want to encourage you to look deep within yourself. Take a second and look deep. I'm going to sip some coffee while you do that. Take a good look within yourself. Where do these motivations come from? Okay? Where do these desires come from? What are you trying to satisfy? What are you trying to achieve? Okay? Because we don't look at that normally. The reason why I encourage people to do this, okay? I'm going to put my coffee down because I'm going to talk with my hands like a standard Italian. Okay? The reason why we do this, all right, the reason why I'm encouraging you to do this is because we don't do it on a day-to-day basis. We are so flooded with distractions, with work, with family, with responsibilities, with all the other things we have to do. We are not paying attention to the deep work. That's why people are like, well, go to therapy, man. You can learn about yourself and stuff. And then it's like, oh, get the hippie stuff away from me. Okay, right? So people don't want to do that. So there's two reasons. Number one, we're too busy to do the inner work, to look within ourselves and understand our motivations. And number two, it's sort of like not really what we want to do. If you really think about it, who wants to talk about problems? Hey, raise their hands. Okay, let's talk about some problems. Nobody wants to talk about problems. All right, and I'm a pretty firm believer that people don't want to talk about problems. I should rephrase. People don't want to talk about problems until they can't avoid them anymore. Right? Okay. So what am I trying? Jim, what are you doing here? Well, I'm trying to give you a life raft. I'm trying to help you get ahead of it. I'm trying to help you understand yourself so that you don't have to be in a place where, oh no, the world's coming to an end. Now we'll go get some help. All right. So that's really the motivation behind a lot of these videos, is to try and help you understand yourself a little bit better and hopefully understand your spouse a little bit better. So that when you have these conversations, when you have these discussions, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. I learned that about them. I understand that about them. I understand that about myself. Okay. I know me, if I'm hungry and tired, I'm not in a great place. I literally have to look at myself and be like, oh crap, I'm hungry and tired. I need to make sure that I come into my space, talk to my family in a calm tone. Because if I don't, I'm going to be I'm going to be grumpy. All right, why? Because we're hungry and tired. And my needs aren't met. There's the inner work right there. There's the deep motivation, okay? It sounds simple. And in some ways it is. But there's other stuff like, deep-rooted psychological stuff from our childhood and all that other jazz that we as therapists are supposed to dig into And sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't. It really kind of depends on the client. But ultimately, my motivation here is to try and encourage you to look within yourself. Introspection, introspection, introspection. Did I mention introspection? To help you understand you and your motivations behind arguing. Now, once you do that, once you are able to do that, once you have that in play, and even on paper, all right, this is big stuff. I would encourage you to write down. If you're doing this work, if you're sitting here and you're like, hey, you know what, Jim, that's a great idea. I'm going to go ahead and write this down. Do yourself a big favor, write it down, please, okay? Because it's a lot, all right? It's a lot to do. I'm giving you the good stuff, okay? You know, I should be charging for this, but I'm not, all right? So I'm giving you the good stuff. The next step here is to look at empathy, all right? What is empathy? Empathy is your ability to understand somebody else's emotional state, what they're thinking, how they're feeling, right? If you're not doing this, okay, if you're not doing this with your spouse, and all you're thinking about is yourself, what do you think are going to be your motivations behind arguing? And additionally speaking, what do you think their motivations are going to be? Because if you think their motivations are completely selfish and not working for both of you, guess what? You're going to dig in your heels and be like, well, they're being selfish. It's cool for me to be selfish too. Okay. But what if you're wrong? What if you're wrong? Just think about it. Think about what their motivations are. Think about where they're coming from. All right. And I will add an additional component here. What if they have good intentions? What if they're not coming at this from malintent? If they're not coming at this from malintent, that means they're coming at it from good intentions. They have good intentions. So if they have good intentions, then, and we're assuming they have bad intentions, then we are, in essence, wrong, which is sometimes what we're arguing about to begin with, right? You're right, I'm wrong, I'm right, you're wrong, that kind of stuff, okay? So the idea behind this is to understand each other. Do your best to try and understand each other. If you don't understand your motivations, or I should say, if you don't understand your spouse's motivations, go ask them. Hey, how you doing? You okay? What's going on here? You seem really mad. What's up? I'm really frustrated that you're not taking out the garbage. I'm really mad that you're not, you're spending all this money. Whatever it is. All right, okay. Okay. I hear you. Tell me more. Tell me more about that. I know it's the stuff for me, but sometimes you gotta shut up and listen. Okay? Sometimes you gotta shut up and just kind of hear where they're coming from. And don't, the other side of this, maybe we'll do this tomorrow. We'll get into listening tomorrow. Okay, but, pro tip. If someone is kind of, verbally vomiting at you, okay, and they're throwing at you all the stuff, all right, they're mad and they're dumping on you, try not to take it personally, all right? There's probably something else going on in their lives that's negatively impacting them, and they feel safe to kind of let their emotions rip, okay? Now, if this is a chronic problem, I understand this isn't for every case. Obviously, if someone comes home and they're, verbally abusive every day, full disclaimer, obviously that's a problem. But I'm talking about every now and then. You're cruising through your day, you guys aren't talking at all, and then all of a sudden, boom, okay? Try and work within yourself, calm yourself down, and listen. All right, the goal here is to try and understand their emotional state. Remember, you looked at yourself and your motivations, so you can do this. You just have to do it for your spouse and not just for yourself. Okay, so you can do this. It's totally possible, totally doable. It's something that you can do. And so I would challenge you to, number one, look within yourself and do that deep work. Look within what goals you're trying to achieve. What are your innermost desires? What are your innermost motivations toward doing things? Okay, and then look at your spouse. What are their innermost motivations? And don't look at it like, oh, it's their job to make my life miserable. That's not really what they want to do. Okay, they actually want to. Most people, they get married and they want to stay with the same person for the rest of their lives, generally speaking. Okay, but then when things don't go well, they don't know how to fix it. All right. So ultimately, their motivations are usually to be happy, just like yours, right? To try and navigate through their lives in the way that seems the most reasonable to them. Okay. And they usually want some help from you or something like that. So I would challenge you today to look within yourself. Today is all about looking within yourself and recognizing your motivations, and then engaging in some empathy to try to understand their motivations. Because once there's an understanding here, there can be an understanding here. Does that make sense? All right, guys, that's all I got for today. I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. But do take care of yourselves. Have a fantastic day. Again, if you like what I'm saying, you like what I'm doing here, follow, subscribe, all that good jazz. Check me out on dynamicmarriagesolutions.com. I'll post that up in the comments. And do take care of yourselves. Have a fantastic day, and I will catch you later.